Welcome everyone to some Outriders tips and tricks that you might not know of, and this video is going to be directed towards new players, so all footage in here is going to be strictly from what you can do in the demo. I don't want to show any footage from mid-game, end-game, anything like that, so this video is targeted for newer players, so all the footage is going to be what you can see and do in the demo. So I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, nothing. I don't want you to know what color the flowers are down the road, okay? I don't want to do that to you. So let's get started here with some tips for newer players and possibly veterans if they don't know this. I'm sure you know this stuff, but let's get into it. So starting off is the difference between AP, anomaly power, and firepower. It comes down to this. Firepower is your bullets and your melee. AP, anomaly power, is going to be all your spells and abilities and the things that you can cast at enemies. One big thing that you need to do is to go into your settings, go into gameplay, and go down to your auto loot settings. Now what you need to do is go down there and turn it to whatever you want the auto loot to be. Now what auto loot will do is whenever you press your hotkey, you will pick up everything that's on the field or near you. So you don't have to run around and press whatever button you need to look like a chicken with its head cut off trying to pick up all these items before you die. You press your auto loot hotkey. Now do you want to pick up greens and everything above? Do you want to pick up whites and everything above? You only want to set the auto loot settings to epics and legendaries. You have the settings and abilities to do that. So me personally, I have it set to green because I like to dismantle and sell stuff, so I don't mind picking up green stuff. So mine is set from unusual all the way up. If you're having a hard time with marksmen way down the line with their red lasers on you, you can do kind of like a quick scoping around corners and stuff, because when you're running around you do have that little gray reticle that you normally have just normal, not ADSing, not aiming down sights, just hip firing. So when you're behind cover, line up that little gray dot and just quickly try to get that shot off, and usually it will go through and it will help with trying to take down enemies without taking the damage that you would if you're just standing out there trying to shoot them. Now, if you're not sure what class to play or really what skill tree to do, that's completely fine. Learn to experiment, because this build might work with this build. You might find a really fantastic gun that you love and create an entire build around just that one gun, that one legendary weapon. So you need to experiment, at least try the different characters. Don't max each one of them out, which I'm sure we're all going to do anyway. But just try to get an idea of what each class does and how each class goes about healing themselves. And what's really cool about this game is it's free to reset your skill tree. Anytime that you want to, you can go in there and reset it. Before a boss fight, if you're hanging out in town, whenever, you can go in there for free. You don't have to spend any type of currency, shards, nothing like that. Reset that skill tree. Try a different build. If you got a really cool sniper on the Technomancer, maybe you want to go up into the top tree and mess with some of the sniper skills. So don't be nervous about trying something new. Now another thing is understanding your class's healing ability. Now overall, you will heal passively. Whether you're hiding behind cover and you haven't taken damage for a while, you're going to go ahead and heal. But if you don't have the chance to do that, each class heals a little bit differently. So for the Devastator, he gets heals on top of his passive for killing enemies in close proximity. The Pyromancer heals whenever enemies marked by your skills. Marked includes if they're on fire, screaming for their life. When they're killed, you get health back. Technomancer heals a portion of whatever damage they deal. So if you have a light machine gun on the Technomancer and you're just spitting out bullets, you're getting healed for each tick that those bullets are hitting for damage. Trickster is going to heal both health, and they will get a shield on top of that health, so they'll get a little bit of a buffer by killing enemies in close proximity. So normally all these heals are going to be accommodated with how you play the class. So Trickster, of course, normally you're going to be up front using your temporal blade, using all your really close stuff, your shotgun tree that's up top there, and that's going to coincide with killing enemies in close proximity. Pyromancer heals whenever enemies are marked by skills. Whenever they're on fire, as a Pyromancer, everything's going to be burning. So you're going to be getting health for everything that's burning. Another thing you can do with some abilities is hold down the ability, and it will bring up the option to throw that item, object, or even change what the ability does. I'm not saying that it will completely change to a new skill that's hidden from you. I'm saying if you have a grenade, instead of just tossing it in front of you, you can press and hold it down and aim where you want that grenade to go and how far. Everything you do in this game will go towards something in your accolade. Now, in your accolades, it's everything from your classes to harvesting, dismantling, killing, using your skills. Everything you do in this game is going to go towards your accolades, is going to go towards your progression on your character to unlock different stuff for your convoy vehicle, banners, emotes, all kinds of stuff. Reviving yourself counts towards your reviving accolades. If you're trying to go for that revive, which it takes 250 people to revive to get that banner emblem, you can also revive yourself and it should count towards those revives. Check shops and vendors for what's on sale. Even if you don't want the item, you might want the mod that's from it. So if you go into the vendor and see, oh, this shotgun's real cool, I don't really need a shotgun right now, but it has maybe some mods on it that you really want, go ahead and buy that so you can dismantle that shotgun and get those mods for later use. When you're in a encounter and you die, or you leave the area, your auto loot system will kick in. So right when you die, you'll notice all those items start scrolling up in your right hand side if you have any items that have dropped for you. Or when you leave the area, you will see the same thing. So if you forget to press that hotkey to auto loot right before you die, things will go into your inventory. Now if your inventory is full, everything will start spitting out into the stash. Legendary items will appear as a star on the minimap once they have dropped. Now a big confusing thing that we had when we first started playing this is Tritanium makes almost a Diablo 3-esque legendary sound when it drops as well. So you might hear this dinging, oh, I got something fancy that dropped on the ground. Not saying Tritanium's not fancy because you're going to need a lot of it, but it might not be a legendary. But they should show up on a star on your minimap, and you can also press your auto loot if you do think a legendary dropped, just to snag that up even quicker. Hovering over the dismantle button will show you everything that you're getting from dismantling the items that you have selected. Certain skills will refill your magazine. Unfortunately, the Devastator will not be getting anything like that. Now, all of these will fill your current weapon magazine with anomaly-infused bullets. So the Trickster has twisted rounds, the Pyromancer has volcanic rounds, and lastly, the Technomancer has blighted rounds. I wish the Devastator had something. I mean, really, he'd just be like shooting rocks at people, which already does that anyway. He's more of a tankier, up-in-your-face build, so he has a lot of different skills and abilities that favor him in that aspect. So unfortunately, we don't get any anomaly-based bullets from the Devastator. Some enemies will have a shield. Armor piercing will help you get through that shield, which will in turn get more damage on that enemy. If you're frozen or stopped with an ability, you can press your melee to break out of it. Now, timing your rolls is going to be a big deal, along with rolling in general. So understand that you're going to be rolling quite a bit. So make sure you're timing your rolls. Whenever someone's running up to you and it looks like they're about to swing, go ahead and roll. If there's an ability that's being cast on you on the ground, you normally can see AoEs from other enemies and stuff, like the big bosses, when they're about to do something big. Mortar strikes or slamming their fist into the ground. See that AoE area, roll out of it. Sometimes you're going to be rolling more than you're shooting. Weapons will come and go, so I would advise waiting to spend any crafting materials for when you really want to tweak that item that you love. Like in any loot shooter game, you can find this really fantastic weapon, and then 10 minutes later down the road in the story, you're going to find an even better weapon. So if you spend all this time crafting and tweaking this weapon you really enjoy, you're just wasting shards, mods, and all kinds of stuff, because you're going to find a better weapon down the road here in about 5 or 10 minutes anyway. So I would wait till you scavenge everything up and you're closer to endgame to where you really want to tweak and fine-tune that build with whatever weapons or mods that you want to use. Another big deal to remember is to know where you've been. A lot of time you're going to be backtracking from enemies while you're shooting. So if you're running into an area and there's barricades and walls and stuff up, remember if you get about halfway into that encounter, remember where those barricades and walls are going to be, because you're going to start to back up and you're going to run into that wall and you're going to get overcumbered by all these enemies, and then you're going to be stuck and pinned against this wall because you didn't really remember quite where that wall was. So always kind of remember where the items are in your area, where the walls are, and the cover that you can run behind. Side missions will reward at the level you're doing them. So say you do a side mission and you accept it on world tier 10, right? You change the world tier to say tier 5 to make it a bit easier. Do it all, knock it out, go back to turn it in and change it back to world tier 10. You're going to get that world tier 10 prize instead of the tier 5 that you did the actual mission on. Now, I did post this on Reddit and I did check and someone did confirm that yes, you can change the world level back to get better loot in this way. So take it as a grain of salt. It's from some dude on Reddit that said this. So I haven't tested it myself, but I thought that was really interesting that you could do that. Now, if the game's running too hard, just cap the frame at 60, cap the frame at 30, cap it at 5 if you want to. I mean, it's your game, you bought it, you know what I mean? So, but if you find that yourself it's running a bit rough, just cap it at 60. You do not lose XP per se. Now, in this game, you're going to be thrown into encounters. So you're going to go into this big, luscious area, and all these enemies are going to be, climbing down from rocks or whatever, and they're going to be attacking you until normally there is a captain or a boss at the end of this little encounter. Once you finish that, you're going to get your XP. Now, if you die during this encounter, you're not going to gain any of that XP. So you can see while you're inside of the encounter that on the top of your XP bar, it's not necessarily filling up. There's more of a kind of a smaller XP bar that you're gaining while killing enemies and stuff in the encounter. Now, you won't get all that, you won't get your goodie prize until you actually finish the encounter. And what happens when you die? Nothing. Frustration, that's what happens when you die. A lot of frustration. Another thing to know is you can reload while running and rolling, which is a huge thing in this game, especially when we go back to timing your rolls, knowing where your cover is. You don't have to sit behind cover, reload, and go back out there. This is a very fast-paced game in the sense that you can run and gun and reload, literally. Armor bonus is for bullets and melees. Resistance is for ability damage. So bullet damage, you get more armor. Enemies using fire tornadoes and laser beams use resistance. Now that's it for me, guys. I was just taking notes as I was playing the game. It's not so much stuff that like this is how you change your UI and stuff like that. Like, I wrote down these notes with questions that I had about the game and wanted to translate that to other newer players that are might be confused about the same things that I was. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe if you have. That would be fantastic. That'd help me out. And if you guys have any questions or comments, or if there's any veteran players that have been playing this game, go down in the comments and put down some tips that that I missed or that you wish that you knew when you started out playing Outriders. So that's going to be it for me today, guys. Have a great day, great night, wherever you are, and I hope to see you in game.